Hey, Eagle fans, I'm Thomas Mott. Welcome to Philadelphia Eagles Now. It's a Monday. We're going to get into some very interesting news and rumors today. First, though, we hit 23,000 subs here on the channel over the weekend. I mean, the views have been blowing up here. The subs have been pouring in. If you have not joined us or if you're first or brand new to join here to the channel, welcome to Philadelphia Eagles Now. I'm Thomas Mott. I appreciate each and every one of you guys. Let's just keep climbing. Why not 25K? I want to become the #1 Eagles YouTube channel that exists on the platform. That's the goal here, and it's with your help. I appreciate you guys. If you're not subscribed yet, go down below and subscribe right now. All right, as we always do on a Monday, latest Eagle news and rumors. Let's start with the ESPN article talking about the Eagles being in quarterback purgatory. So this is not just an ESPN thing. A lot of major outlets, a lot of fans are talking about how, is Jalen Hurts the guy? Is Jalen Hurts not the guy? Now, did you watch football this weekend? If you didn't, you're an idiot because obviously you missed one of the greatest, if not the greatest weekend in football in NFL history. And the divisional round was fantastic, but the focus was Joe Burrow was great. You saw Patrick Mahomes be great. You saw Josh Allen be great. You saw Brady be great. You saw Matt Stafford be great. Like all these great quarterbacks were great, and it's just shocked that, oh, okay, well, they're winning games in the postseason. Now, this of course has further lit the flame of, can Jalen Hurts be great? Because we know Jalen Hurts is not great yet. We know that he's still very mediocre. We know he's had ups and downs, but he's still very, very young. And yet ESPN, as you'll see, is talking about how the Eagles are stuck in quarterback purgatory because they don't have a star quarterback on the roster and are in desperate need of one. Now, let's go ahead and start with ESPN's exact quote here, throwing it up on the screen here. Quote, priorities this offseason: take stock of the quarterback position and solidify its future. The lifeless wild card loss to Tampa Bay raises questions about Jalen Hurts' 2022 outlook in green. Hurts did an admirable job leading Philadelphia to 9 wins and a playoff berth, but his problems against the Bucs, including struggles to see open receivers and bailing from the pocket too early, aren't new. Philadelphia at least needs to create competition for Hurts, and with GM Howie Roseman's aggressive mentality, the Eagles are bound to be involved in a few big game quarterback talks league-wide. How could they not be with 3 first-round draft picks, 15, 16, and number 19 overall, end quote. Okay, now, a lot of things that ESPN just said there, I have said as well. Jalen Hurts has struggled to see open receivers at times. He bails from the pocket, but he's still so darn young. It's only going to be year 2. Essentially, next year is going to be year 2 because the year 1 doesn't count because he sat on the bench the majority of the season and then played with nobody the final 4 games of the year in meaningful football. Like, sorry we don't have Patrick Mahomes. Like, seriously, if you went this entire weekend and you went, oh, wow, look at all these great quarterbacks. Man, Philadelphia, Jalen Hurts is nowhere near as great as Patrick Mahomes. Like, of course he's not. No one's as great as Patrick Mahomes. No one's as great as Josh Allen. Like, these quarterbacks don't grow on trees. Yes, there are a lot of very good young quarterbacks in the National Football League, but just because Philadelphia hasn't had the production of Patrick Mahomes-type levels from Jalen Hurts just in year 1 of being a starter does not mean that he can't eventually become an elite quarterback in the National Football League. Like, that's what, again, people seem to just fail to realize, right? They sit there and they go, oh, Philadelphia, they got to be in win-now mode. Like, obviously, they made the playoffs, and so they better have a quarterback that can win right now. The Eagles are extremely young. Like, they have a couple of old people, Fletcher Cox, Brandon Graham, but overall, they're extremely young. Like, this is not we just have to win immediately. Like, they're building towards eventually being a winning football team, right? And Jalen Hurts is still incredibly young. Like, the progress can 100% be there. Josh Allen was not very good his first year, and essentially, you can make the case this was Jalen Hurts' first year, and yet the progress from Allen from year 1 to year 3 has been absolutely incredible. Now, I'm not saying that's guaranteed Hurts becomes Allen or Mahomes or Justin Herbert or Joe Burrow. Like, maybe he won't. And there are a lot of things that we saw this season that make you say, maybe, honestly, he might not be that good. But there's no way that you can sit back and say, oh, well, the Eagles already need to go ahead and change a quarterback because Jalen Hurts played really badly in one game against the Bucs. Like, stop. Like, he had a lot of very good games, a lot of very good throws, a lot of very good drives. Yes, they were bad, but welcome to having a young quarterback. Like, we forget that, you know, just because Carson Wentz had an MVP season and then Nick Foles balled out that we're immune from having, you know, the young quarterback growing pains. Every single quarterback in the National Football League struggles early on. Like, you don't just start and ball out immediately unless you are Patrick Mahomes. Like, literally, it's Mahomes, and that's basically it. Have a little patience with Philadelphia, a little patience with Jalen Hurts. I don't think the Eagles are in quarterback purgatory. Will they for sure take a look at quarterbacks in on the trade market? Yes, of course. And we'll talk about Aaron Rodgers here in just a couple of minutes. But I'm still riding Hurts. I think he'll be the quarterback in 2022, barring some sort of mega trade. Ad break pin comment. We'll start here. Confidence level in Jalen Hurts in 2022. Scale of 1 to 10. I mean, where are you at? Are you a 3, meaning that you want somebody else? Are you a 10, meaning that you love Jalen Hurts? Give me your thoughts down below right now. Okay, next story here on the list has to do with Jalen Reagor. Now, we talked about Jalen Reagor a lot, and obviously Jalen Reagor is a highly controversial, I should say, highly polarizing name right now in Philadelphia, but former Eagles president Joe Banner has some thoughts on Jalen Reagor that I I tend to actually disagree with. So Joe Banner, as we'll see here in just a couple of minutes, essentially said the Birds need to move on from Reagor, and he's not the first person to do that. A lot of people have gone on Twitter at least and talked about how Jalen Reagor has to go. The problem is, as we'll see, Reagor has multiple years left on his rookie deal. Getting rid of him, aka a cut, is going to cost you a lot of money in dead cap space. It's like $7.5 to $8 million in dead cap money that you would still pay him for not being on the roster. Not a good look for an Eagles team wanting to acquire people in free agency. Now, Philadelphia is still going to upgrade the wide receiver position this offseason, but they can do so while still keeping Jalen Reagor on the roster, in my opinion. Now, we'll start with Joe with Banner's a quote here on Reagor, again, former president of Philadelphia. He comments a lot on the Eagles stuff, and I don't know if he's someone we should 100% listen to, but he is in the know, so that's fair. Quote, Reagor should be gone, and I believe he will be gone. They need to replace him with someone better or at least more dependable, and he needs to get to a space where he's not prejudged by the history and the fact that he was a first-round draft pick, end quote. Now, listen, I agree. I think Reagor needs to go somewhere else. It's like the Ben Simmons situation, right? He can't handle the Philadelphia pressure. He can't handle the pressure of what it's like to be an expected star, a first-round draft pick in Philly, and so he needs to go somewhere else. But you can't cut him. Like, saying he has to go means that you would actually consider cutting him. No, it's either trade him or keep him. It's that simple. And you can totally keep Jalen Reagor on this roster. Like, I would be totally fine with keeping Jalen Reagor on this roster. You just have to put better players around him. That way, when you're in a 4th and 10 situation or a playoff game, it's not Devontae Smith is the first read and then Jalen Reagor is the second read. You need Devontae Smith read number 1, Goddard mixed in there, and then a Mike Williams or a Chris Olave or an Allen Robinson, right? You need that other real threat as a number 1 receiver opposite of Devontae Smith. That way, Reagor can just have no pressure and he can just go out there and play football. And you know what? Maybe he actually becomes the first-round draft pick that we thought he would be, or at least a decent first-round draft pick, right? It's either trade him or keep him. There is no in-between because the dead cap hit is just too much money, and it just doesn't make sense, right? You can just, again, still add weapons around Jalen Hurts alongside Devontae Smith and keep Reagor a little bit lower on the depth chart. I know he's a first-round draft pick, and he shouldn't be that low on the depth chart, but what are you going to do, right? This was a blown pick. Roseman screwed this one up, and so you live with the consequences of that. So I agree that Reagor would do a lot better somewhere else. I think like a him for Julio or him for Calvin Ridley plus some draft picks is a great option to send him to Atlanta, restart his career there. We get Ridley. We've talked about that, but I don't see cutting him as being an option at all, and I'd be absolutely shocked if Philadelphia were to cut him. You guys think Reagor will be an Eagle in 2022? What do you think? If you think he will, type Y down below for yes. Think he will not, go ahead and type N down below for no. All right, before we get into the Aaron Rodgers odds, which are increasing right now, I mean, they are really moving up the old list. Shout out to our friends at BetUS. Did you bet on any of the divisional round games? If you did, like me, you won a little bit of money. If you want to get in on the NFC and AFC Championship game betting rounds, do it with our friends at BetUS. Chatsports.com/EaglesBet. Promo code is Eagles125. Get you a 125% deposit bonus whenever you first sign up. Betting on football is fun, right? Like right now, we have nothing, we have no skin in the game because we're Eagle fans, but it's still fun to bet on these games. I do it with our friends at BetUS. All right, Aaron Rodgers eliminated this weekend and won a crazy game. I was at a buddy's house watching that game. It was absolutely nuts. And, of course, this starts the rumors of where Aaron Rodgers will end up in 2022. He's for sure leaving. In my opinion, he's gone. The question is where? Well, according to the sports bettors out there, here are your odds right now. And look who's sitting at number 4. According to Jamie Eisner tweet, I guess. Denver is your lead favorite, plus 250. That makes sense. I think he's going to be a Bronco, honestly. The Steelers, plus 350. The Dolphins, plus 450. That one's kind of interesting. Would he really want to go to Miami? I don't know. Eagles, plus 550 there at number 4. Then the Browns, and then the Raiders. The Eagles sitting there with the 4th best odds to go ahead and get essentially Aaron Rodgers. Now, that's, again, just the odds makers sitting there, and that's because the Eagles have draft picks, and the Eagles have some cap space, and the Eagles have apparently a quarterback purgatory position, according to ESPN. Either way, Rodgers, I think he's leaving Green Bay. They have salary cap issues. They're not going to be able to re-sign Devontae Adams. I think he goes to Denver, honestly. I just don't see him picking Philly, right? Rodgers doesn't want to go to a rebuilding situation. And the Eagles are not a rebuilding situation, but they're not, ready to win a Super Bowl, in my opinion, just yet. Now, would Rodgers increase their chances? 100%. They would win the division with Rodgers at quarterback. Anywhere he goes, they're going to win. They're going to win the division. But I think Denver is much better poised for Rodgers in terms of money, in terms of draft picks, in terms of really talent around him. They actually have a really good defense, unlike Philadelphia. The Steelers likewise make a lot of sense. Anybody else on that list, though, Dolphins, Eagles, I just don't see it happening. I mean, again, if he were to pick Philadelphia because you can just sign him straight up, I'm all for it. I would love Aaron Rodgers. I love Jalen Hurts, but signing Aaron Rodgers and not getting up draft picks sounds great to me, but I'd be surprised if Philadelphia emerges as anything close to a front runner for Rodgers' services. What'd you guys do? Would you guys trade for him? Because you can trade for him straight up, depending on what they do with his contract. If you would trade for Rodgers, type T down below for trade. If you would not, type D down below for don't. All right, quickly, final story here. I want to mention something that was sent him 2 kegs of beer. He's awesome. I've told him how much we want him back. He's an unbelievable leader. Everything you hear about, if you don't know Jason Kelce personally, everything you hear about him is as advertised. He's awesome. He's a great leader. He's a great player. He's the backbone of this team, end quote. And so, of course, we saw this tweet like 8 billion times on Twitter. Nick Sirianni sends Jason Kelce beer in order to get him to come back to Philadelphia. Listen, I think Kelce does come back, but I want to emphasize that you don't need Kelce to come back to still have a dominant offensive line. Like, everyone forgets that Landon Dickerson was drafted as a center. He was drafted as the Kelce replacement. He was moved over to left guard and then right guard a little bit just because of injuries, and he played so well there, they just kept him there at left guard. But you got to remember, Isaac Seumalo comes back at left guard, and then Nate Herbig has played really well at right guard, or Jack Driscoll, he was injured earlier too. So Dickerson could easily slide into the center position if Kelce were to retire. And if you really want to keep Dickerson at left guard, then you can go and spend number 15 overall and take the Iowa center, Tyler Linderbaum, who many people consider to be the next Jason Kelce, like the next great center to come out of the NFL draft. And I like Linderbaum. I think he's a great player. But I think, one, Kelce will come back, and two, if not, that I think Dickerson, who was drafted to be his replacement, can totally fill that need and fill that void, and the Eagles will be just fine. But if you want to see Kelce come back, drop a like I do. Like, I really want him to. I think that would make things way easier. Drop a like down below if you guys want Kelce to go ahead and come back. All right, ultimate for today on our Eagles news and rumor video. Plenty of talk today. I mean, goodness gracious, we got into it today, right? A lot going on, a little bit longer of a video, plenty more content later on this week. Mailbag call a little bit later on this weekend as well. Hashtag Eagles to be a part of that one. And be sure to be a subscriber. Field of Eagles now. I'm Thomas Mott signing off for the rest of your day.